Were you watching this yesterday? I know a lot of folks focus on the SEC on signing day. There were some programs that made moves in the Big Ten, namely Michigan. I've got to credit Jim Harbaugh and his staff so much. They closed on fire. And that's not something we're always talking about with Michigan. And I'll tell you what else they did. They parlayed a college football playoff appearance into real, meaningful, tangible results in this year's recruiting class. You almost never hear that. If anything, a postseason trip is paid off on the recruiting trail the next cycle. This year, they closed with, let me just tell you, they closed with Derek Moore, who's a big edge rusher out of Baltimore, but they also got Keon Saab. That's one of those Clemson decommits. He's a four-star safety out of IMG Academy down in Florida. And they got Darius Clemens yesterday, who's a big receiver out of Portland. Michigan recruits nationally, obviously. So you go Florida, you go Baltimore, you go Portland. But they closed, and they really emphasized where the program is right now, where it's headed, and what we're accomplishing as we speak. And it worked. This is one of the most remarkable turnarounds where there really wasn't a mass overhaul of anything that we've seen. Jim Harbaugh, this time last year, we were asking ourselves, is he going to be fired, or is he going to voluntarily step down, or are they going to do what they ended up doing, which was restructuring his contract and having him accept it? He did that, and then he's had the best season he's had since he's been at Michigan. Just an amazing repackaging job happening at Michigan right now. They finished with a top 10 class, at least coming out of early signing day. Really, really big deal there. Ohio State is sitting at number 4 right now. Buckeyes with the number 4 overall signing class. Now, you know how it works with Ohio State. They have long since been the alpha recruiting brand in the Big Ten. So they are viewed at a different level, and they're held to a different standard. What I mean by that is if the University of Iowa, with all due respect, were to have landed Ohio State's class yesterday, we would be throwing a ticker tape parade in Iowa City. But Ohio State lands this class, and it's judged against other Ohio State classes, and really it's judged against Alabama, A&M, Georgia, all the other elite recruiting brands out there. And as good as this class is, there is a blinking red light on this one, and it's in the defensive backfield. And that's an area for a couple of seasons now Ohio State has gotten bitten, and they rolled some dice here, and they may have cost themselves. And this is just a gamble that they had to take. They lost some elite defensive backs to flips in recruiting land, and they also slow-played Eli Ricks, according to some, because they did not want to mess up their commitment list. But then the guys flip. They don't get Ricks because he goes to Alabama, and then Ryan Watts enters the transfer portal, and all of a sudden Ohio State fans are looking around saying, wait, who in the world's playing defensive back for us 1 or 2 years from now? Like, did we really just cost ourselves an opportunity to have an elite secondary? What I would say to you is the same thing I'm saying right now when Georgia fans are talking about their wide receiver unit. It's not done. There are guys not even in the portal yet that will end up being in the portal. This is a destination. For a lot of players, it's a destination. I saw Mark Pantoni tweet out earlier. He runs things essentially at Ohio State. Said, been watching film of transfer portal players today. That's the modern day of college football. They will still have several swings at guys who are starting caliber defensive backs at Ohio State. So let's just bookmark it. No, it's not an ideal situation right now. Let's bookmark it, though. Penn State was the story of the cycle to me in the Big Ten because Penn State was so quiet. They already had their entire signing class locked up yesterday, and they finished number 6. You look at that and you think that's a typo. It's not. Penn State right now is the number 6 signing class in the country. This is a remarkable class for James Franklin and his entire staff there. And they didn't have any, major losses yesterday. But here's what's fun when you dive into the Penn State signing class, and you kind of do what we did with Texas A&M a second ago. When you look at the Penn State signing class, and then you ask yourself, what has Penn State been missing? Difference makers offensively. Got one Jahan Dotson. Need several of them. You got maybe one elite tailback. Let's get us a couple more. How about quarterback? Sean Clifford, coming back for his 47th year at State College. Let's go get ourselves a true 5-star caliber quarterback. They did all those things. You look at Penn State's commitment list, and it's almost all offensive players at the top. Drew Aller is a 5-star quarterback out of Ohio, nonetheless, who has committed and stayed committed to Penn State, and he's a guy everyone's been talking about up there. It's always, when we get Drew in here, when we get Aller in here. They've been talking about it midway through this past season. Said, how's this going to change when we get Drew in here? Well, we're about to find out because he's headed to town very soon. Nicholas Singleton is a big-time running back. We talked about him a lot when he did commit there. Caden Saunders, wide receiver. They got a lot of good offensive skill, and there's a lot different versatility. The characteristics of some of these guys are a little bit different than the player traits and characteristics you've seen Penn State teams have so far. So if these guys do pan out, this is a different looking Penn State offense than we've seen, which is what they have to take the next step to be where they want to be in the Big Ten. I wanted to also touch on Michigan State right quick. Let me get this in the right order, okay? So Justin Thend works for our Michigan State 24/7 site. And I have to give shout-outs because it's his birthday. So happy birthday. And then I also had to ask him, how do I pronounce your last name, man? Like, I've communicated with him for a while, but Thind. How would you pronounce it? I almost tried to put a Z in the word minced yesterday. Embarrassing situation. Luckily, spell check caught it. So Thend, Justin Thend, happy birthday. He puts this little nugget of information on the Michigan State board earlier. Michigan State signed more four-star players in this class than the last 4 recruiting cycles combined. That's not bad. And you know what? They missed out on Armani Winfield and Keontae Goodwin, who committed on late kick yesterday. They missed out on some of the really big remaining targets they had out there. They still got more 4-star or better talent in this class than the past 4 combined. And as you know, synonymous with Michigan State and Mel Tucker is transfer portal. So they still have work that they can do in this class. I was very impressed with this yesterday. You know, now they're finishing early signing day at 21, and really this is a testament because if anything, people are saying, ooh, they need to be ranked a little higher. Yeah, Michigan State football. That's right. When they're only at 21, you're thinking to yourself, I need to do a little better. There's a new standard there. This year has changed the standard. Mel Tucker has changed the standard there.